virus. Once you get, see, there are two kind of things during this period we are facing. Number one is fear, that is about the death, and about the media is always showing that COVID इतना number of cases हुआ, उतना number cases हुआ, इतना death हो गया. So again and again our brain is getting rocking with the same news. That's a one issue. It's a nuisance actually. And the second part is regarding the anxiety. What is the anxiety we are getting means how we are going to pay the rent, and next month how I'm going to run the clinic, whether the patient is going to come or not. Actually, once a patient come out, how I'm going to take precaution. Maybe the patient may got some problems with that. So all these things are anxiety. So the fear and anxiety, this both the things are both the sides of the coins. So what it will do means it slowly it is going to increase your cortisol level in your body. So when the cortisol level is going to increase in your body, automatically it is actually a stress hormone. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It is a steroid. So what is going to happen is it is going to shut down your immune system. So once it shut down the immune system, so your body is it is actually not working very strong. So basically, whatever virus is going to come, it is coming and going to dance in your body. So that's why I'm saying first you stop anxiety and fear factor. That is a first precaution as a therapist we should say. Same time we should take the same thing. At the same time we should explain to the patients also, don't get fear. And the second point is whenever you are going to ICU or critical care, one thing is very relevant point I would like to talk to you. Actually, these patients are not going to produce more sputum. They are going to have a dry cough. Sputum is not going to produce much. So don't worry, the postural drainage may you are going to take a lot of sputum. So if the patient is having associated comorbidity of bronchitis or bronchiectasis, then you are going to have more sputum. Otherwise, the patient is not at all going to have sputum. It is a dry cough, dry cough, dry cough. Number two. Number three is very important is patient is having a fever. So you don't require much mobility during that period. And it is post COVID only, you require kind of exercises. So during the COVID in the ICU also, it is not very mandatory for physiotherapy because the reason is physiotherapy is needed, but physiotherapy is not mandatory. Only comorbid signs and symptoms has to managed by the therapist. And otherwise, the core symptom of corona is going to be a dry cough. And in dry cough, the patient may have little bit of breathlessness, kind of a spasm, bronchospasm, and other things, and they are not going to provide you a much sputum like bronchitis and other things. That's very important. Like cystic fibrosis or bronchitis, they are not going to give out much sputum. So don't expect that by doing a postural drainage, I'm going to take a lot of sputum in corona is concerned. I'm talking about core corona. If you are going to take about the associated comorbidity, they may have it. That's a different story. Yeah, this is a one point I would like to say. The other important part is whenever the actually the COVID dresses are not so easy, 6 hours you should wear that. Inside you will have a sweating basically. And whenever you are going to, before wearing the dress, you have to drink water and enough amount of hydration, and you have to go for a loo or something, and you have to have your food as much as possible and all those things, because 6 hours to 7 hours, because the cost of the dress is too much. So it is not affordable to remove it and throw it and again you have to put it. So don't use the same dress again and again. And definitely when you are going to work in hospital setup without personal protective device, don't touch the patient in hospital setup is concerned. In clinic you can have a regulation within yourself. So better is you check for the temperature and basic things, and you check for the history. And the third one is history of a patient, history of the relatives, history of the family members, and history of the society. That is also very important. You belongs to which society? Suppose you are coming from a group of society, there if there is a case is there, you should be more cautious. That's very important. So history is very important. And during the appointment hours itself, in the phone you take a history. That is a very good idea. And once again, once they come back again, you we assess the history. So correlate with that, the both the things are same. That's one of the good idea to understand the patient better.
Dr. Annamalai,
Yeah.
can I request you,
Yeah.
sir, if you want to share your screen, you have the rights. You can share the screen as well with the participants.
Okay. So
In the center, you will find a green color button which says
yeah,
share screen.
share screen. Okay. 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 So that is for PowerPoint, right?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't have any PowerPoint. I'm just
Okay,
on
no
the
problem,
website.
sir. We can go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
my speed is fine now. I have to go
Yes.
slow little because I'm fast. I'm talking fast, I think so.
No, sir,
I'm
everything
sure.
is going
It's
very
okay.
well.
Okay, fine. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
So
right.
just little louder, I would request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do it with little louder.
Right. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So once in ICU, the precautions are taken well. And I'm just advising you, once you come out from the hospital before reaching the home, so you just give a call and ask them to have a bucket of water with the soap as well as the little bit of anything like disinfectant, and you just come out and just open up and throw your dresses inside it, and then you just pass on to the bathroom and take a bathroom and all those things. Then once you wash your body with proper soap and you come back. So this is the ideal way you should do. Supposed to don't touch anything, and that means pre-preparatory phase before. Actually, the donning is very important, and removing the dress and removing the gloves and all those things are so important. So this is, and I'm talking in the front of perspective of core coronavirus method. Okay, and second part is I would like to speak about a little bit of controversies regarding the patients. So the first one is our government even purchased a lot of ventilators in the earlier days because they thought that it is affecting the lungs heavily, kind of. But last 1 month before, in autopsy, they were made in around 7 to 8 patients.
Hello.
7 to 8 patients of autopsy report, they have been published in Delhi, and they have given the three-dimensional view.
चल ही नहीं रहा है मेरा।
Hello.
चल गया तो क्या चल रहा है फेसबुक पे लाइव? मेरे पास कनेक्शन ही नहीं हो रहा।
Hello.
मैं नहीं दिख रहा ना, हो ही नहीं रहा, कनेक्ट ही नहीं हो रहा।
Continue, sir. Please continue.
बार बार आ रहा है, your internet connection is unstable.
Hello.
So you continue.
Okay.
Sir,
So
please
the-
you continue.
sir.
Okay.
Arnab,
Annamalai,
please continue.
Yeah.
And,
I'm continuing.
Dr. Suman, please ask Jhasar to mute it because
Yeah,
we are
don't
getting
worry.
his voice.
I'll speak to Sanjeev, sir. Don't worry.
Okay.
Please ask them
Thank you, sir.
because it's going very well.
Right.
Okay, sir. So basically, the three-dimension. See, basically, they have did a autopsy study. Autopsy study is always having a better value than any other study, evidence-based, because autopsy is naturally opening the body, dead body, and studying about the real tissue of 3 dimension. Whereas the others, CT evidence, or if you are going for X-ray evidence, MRI evidence, CT scan evidence, they are 2-dimensional. So the 3-dimensional evidence is always having a better value. So the autopsy study showing that it is because of coagulation. Blood is because of coagulation, the people are dying, not because of respiratory problem. This is basically a controversy or contradiction done by Italy people and based on their studies. So now the whole world is turning towards working on anticoagulation, kind of a low dose heparin and all those things. So in that sense, I'm so happy being a therapist. The early mobilization is a key, because the early mobilization is kind of a prophylaxis, like a low dose heparin. So in that sense, inside the ICU, the mobilization is very, very important. Okay, let us talk about the perspective of physiotherapy is concerned regarding the preventive method, because right now we are talking about ICU and how the people come to OPD, what you are going to manage.
Sir, sorry to Anna, sir, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just, apart from preventive and curative measures, I just wanted to know that please share the post corona positive and 2 consecutive report negative patient जिसको हम post ARDS symptoms रहते हैं, and हम उनको pulmonary rehabilitation में क्या-क्या चीजें करवा सकते हैं और करवाना चाहिए.
So first, let me finish it off all the 3 segments. That is, actually, I'm talking about 3 eras. One is before Christ, after Christ. I'm talking right now before Christ and after Christ, like before Corona, post Corona. So first, I'm talking the Corona and the pre-Corona. Post Corona, I will talk later on, sir. I'm going.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take care of that point. Definitely, I'll note it. Okay. So
Thank you, sir.
yeah, let me go to this stance. So if we are going for any patients in the case of COVID, the patient is having a, for example, the patient is having a COVID positive, and okay, I'll answer the question what is asked because that question is coming again and again to me. Okay, so that means suppose the patient is coming passive carrier of corona, or kind of a patient do not realize that he is having a corona. So in that sense, in the clinical practice, how we have to practice means the best way is practice with your PPD. Your PPD is very, 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 very important. So personal protective device is must to run the clinic, because first your safety, then only the patient's safety. Because if you are going to stay only, you can give good things to your patient for a long time. So I think the PPD is a very crucial part in case of, because there are a lot of passive cases are around right now. Actually, in India, the number of cases which is increasing day by day. Yesterday, if you see in Gujarat, it is more than 1,000 cases. So among that, most of them, 80% of the cases are passive spreaders. Passive spreaders means they don't have any signs and symptoms. Just they are just spreading the things and they are just finding out they are positive. And don't get panic with that. But if you are going to have a proper PPD, it's nothing going to affect. Okay. So now the very important chunk is, what is the solution for this corona in the future? See, I don't think so. The people who are going to, they are, all the companies are working hard to get the vaccine for it. Yeah, that is a good solution. But vaccine is not going to be a evergreen anything, because the vaccine which they are going to plan to launch in September, and it is not going to be a one-time vaccine like polio. It is going to be a what you can call it, a recurrent vaccine. Every year they will ask you to put this vaccine. So then slowly what happened means your body is going to get used to it, and your immune system is going to suppress, and you are going to depend on the immune system from outside, which is not a long-term remedy. So post COVID, the physiotherapy clinics have the three things in a very big way. The one is immune booster mechanism can be acted as a part, because if you develop your immune system, you don't want anything from outside, whatever may be the virus. Today, this virus is coming. After 10 years, the other virus can come. See, you see, last 10 years, how many viruses you got? Normally, actual the viruses, if you take a evolution of virus is 800 years. But I don't know, it is a man-made virus or it is a controversy virus, basically. In 10 years, it is coming every new generations. So I don't know, next 5 years it can get mutated and it can produce other symptoms. So the permanent solution is creating your own body immune system. So how can you improve your body immune system? The physiotherapy is one of the important thing to improve your immune system, because your organs which is producing immune system function, like your thymus, and you can take your for example thymus, and you can take your tonsils, and you can take your liver, you can take your spleen, and you can take your, so all these things are basic. Even your skin is a wonderful immune system organ, nobody knows. So all this immunity organs has to be boosted very well. So specifically, I used to write always that vitamin C and zinc is helping. So today it is proven also. The vitamin C and zinc is a very important uphold for to fight. Same time, the according to my KCAT, what I decided means there is a solution for immunology is micro walk. What is micro walk means? Every 1 hour, make 5 minutes walking. If you are walking for continuous half an hour, 1 hour, it is not going to help you. You want to really boost your immune system. Every 1 hour, walk for 5 minutes, whatever may be the speed of your walk. Every 1 hour, 5 minutes is a key. Suppose in throughout the day, 8 hours, what is happening? There are two advantages are happening. When you walk every 1 hour, 5 minutes, what is happening means your body is getting mobilized and your motility is improving with the organs. Third one is it is acting as a low dose heparin of prophylactic doses. So basically, it is based on the autopsy study of Italy. What I am proposing means you walk every 1 hour, 5 minutes. That is going to boost your immune system much better. And the second part is you drink enough amount of hydration. So how much water you are going to drink, that much the lymph fluid can be circulated very well. So how much the stagnation of lymph fluid is not there, that much the inflammation of the lymphatic glands are not going to happen. So you drink enough amount of water. And the fourth one is what I want to say means you work more on breathing exercises. Especially diaphragmatic breathing is going to be a golden key for any kind of virus. Because when you work on diaphragmatic breathing, what is happening means during the diaphragmatic breathing, you are changing the alteration of inferior vena cava, the pressure in the inferior vena cava, and also it is going to massage the organ below the diaphragm. Because when you do a forceful Kapalbhati kind of these things, what is happening is it is increasing the massaging impact of your liver and all those things. Liver, spleen, and all those things, it is going to get massaged. So what I'm saying means diaphragmatic breathing is one of the current key mechanism for preventive measure is concerned. Okay, the other important part I would like to tell you means the fish pose. The fish pose means put a pillow below your thoracic spine and just open up your hands against and just relax. So what happens? Your chest is just like open up. So you feel breathe in, breathe out, concentrate for 5 minutes. So this is going to prevent the crowding of the ribs. So once the crowding of the ribs are getting reduced, so what will happen means your costophrenic angle will get adjusted. So once a costophrenic angle will get adjusted, it is going to improve your pleura. So once a pleura is going to get improved, the PEEP is going to maintain within. PEEP means positive end expiratory pressure inside the air bulb is going to maintain. So again, it is going to be a very good method of operation for any positioning. So if you are in ICU, positioning is important. If the patient is your OPD, keep the positioning. Just keep a pillow below the thoracic spine, especially at the T9 or T10, T11, kind of, and keep it and open up the chest and leave it. Ask him to breathe for 5 minutes. That is one more thing. And I'll teach you one more KCAT exercise, which is very simple to activate your thymus gland. It is called thymus activation system through KCAT. Just you go through the breastbone. So in the breastbone, you see Maniburium sterni just ends. So Maniburium sterni just ends. There you have to do only this. So 15 times. So this has to be done in the morning, afternoon, evening. But after evening, don't do this. Just tap your this thing 15 times. So it is going to improve your thymus activation. So the thymus is again, it is going to, because once it comes to the upper respiratory tract, the first thymus is going to activate against it. So this why I'm not asking you to do in the night time means when you do night time, it will increase your alertness and your what you can call it as your limbic system will get activated. You will become more emotional. So do it in the daytime. So morning, afternoon, evening, you can do 15 times, 15 repetitions. That is one of the good way to do it. And right now, I think I just given a lot of ideas and thought process in a very short period. Now you can ask anything if you want to ask from your side. I can just give answers.
Good evening, sir. It's Jitendra. Sir, I'm actually you didn't get my question.
Yeah,
actually, there are some patients जो post COVID ARDS, especially old age patient, who's having some breathlessness.
No. 1 minute. COVID with comorbidity of ARDS, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
And after their 2 consecutive reports are negative, and they still needs some kind of oxygen support or some kind of ventilation issues. In that patients, what will we do?
See, first of all, I would like to explain you the patient is having comorbid of ARDS. Patient is having a comorbidity of ARDS, adult respiratory distress syndrome. So ARDS means it is a stiff lung. Lung is very stiff. So that's why we are inflating by giving a positive pressure, that is ventilator. So ventilator देके जो lung hard lung है उसको ज्यादा pressure देके उसको खोलने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं.
But sir, recently we saw that many of the patients जो है those who required ventilation, we are using non-invasive ventilator only.
BiPAP.
Definitely we are using NIV, BiPAP only.
Right.
But still they are having some kind of altered oxygen saturation level.
No, I'm saying this the problem. The great problem with this disease is it is creating a stiff lung, and even BiPAP we are using it to maintain the PEEP. That's it. So we want to maintain the PEEP. That's why we are using the BiPAP. But the problem is here the patient को sputum नहीं है. So sputum nahi hai, you are not going to work on sputum, but you can work, even though patient is on ventilator, you can help to improve the chest mobility by means of stretching or releasing around the thorax. You can relax.
Okay.
You can release the sternocleidomastoid. You can relax. You can release the pectoralis minor. You can release the intercostals के बीच में जो muscles है उसको आप release कर सकता है. So you
We
can
can
do
give
lot of
rib springing
तो
maneuver.
you can do
उस पे भी आ गया,
lot of,
मतलब वाईफाई पे भी आ गया.
so you can do lot of releases.
Sir, one more thing. Can we use those patients, those who are not on NIV or ventilators? We can use some positive pressure devices like Acapella and all, EasyPair, Acapella. We use.
Acapella can be definitely used. For Acapella, you need three things. One is patient cooperation, number one.
Okay,
Because,
definitely.
yeah, active patient hona chahiye. And the second point is you can use Acapella if the patient natural PP is more than 5.
या मैं
If
इसको
patient
मोबाइल पे
natural,
लूँ क्या देखूं?
if patient natural PP is not more than 5, it is useless to do it. So you check it out. Basically the weaning criteria of ventilator should be there with the patient. If it is there, then you can use Acapella. Otherwise, in non-invasive ventilation, definitely you can use Acapella, no problem.
बाइक पे अच्छा लगता है लड़कों को, बॉयज को तो बाइक ज्यादा पसंद होती है.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sir, what are the precautions we have to take when we start our clinic? Some safety measures, what we can take, sir?
See, the first and foremost is you get that thermometer. That is for two purposes. One is you don't want to touch the patient, and the second one is to show the government that you are taking necessary precaution. That is the first point. And second point is take as much as possible the two things very important. One is if your patient is affordable and your clinic is affordable clinic, your fees can be managed with the consumables. Then you get a paper spread, the roll of paper spread, which can be changed. For every patient, you can change it. It is actually a paper roll is coming. So that roll should be fixed on your couch. And once it completed, you can just tear it and throw it away. That is a one point you can take. Otherwise, if the couch is, you cannot maintain that paper roll, then what is the other option means? Better you take a disinfectant, the cheaper disinfectants, and keep it. And if there is a Rexin around it, because most of our couches are made out of Rexin, so just with the aerosol nozzles and you just spray it and clean it, wipe it every time once the patient goes. That is the other part which you can clean it. And the third part is if you are going to use possible the sticking electrodes. If it is a personal electrodes used for patients, they are affordable, that is fine. If not so, then you should sterilize every time once you just fix your all the ultrasound head and your all the TENS electrodes and all those things, you should sterilize once. And wax don't use during this time, because wax we are using for many people together. It is not easy to sterilize every time. So I always says that avoid wax. And exercise equipments, you do one thing. Without exercise equipment, maximum what you can use, gravity and inertia, you work on like that. And suppose you required exercise equipment, definitely finish it off that. Once the exercise is completed, make sure that you are cleaning it with the disinfectant. So which is good for the patient as well as for you. You can avoid cross infection. And the other important thing is, before you are giving appointment to the patient, make sure a detailed assessment form in the phone only, that he is having a fever or not, inka family mein kisi ko fever hai, and same time he had traveled earlier or not. At the same time, you find out his location, where he is coming from, whether the location is from red zone, and you find out which address he is coming from. Suppose his apartment is on the red alert, then you just don't encourage him to do it, and you give some phone consultation. See, basically, this is a very crucial period. We have to practice same time the safety of us and safety of the other patients is also important. This is basically post-COVID era. It is going to be like this only for at least for a year, I think. Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Participants are on mute. Sir, we we can hear you. Participants are on mute. I request any participant, please raise your hand. We will unmute you. Any question, please raise your hand. Yeah, Dr. Bhadra. Okay. Unmuted.
Sir, what are the safety measures we have to take? These are the patient's measures, sir. What are the measures we have to take for our safety, sir? Can
Sir,
we
for
tell
us,
people?
yeah. For us, what I just suggest means the first one is for us as well as our staff should be trained well. The first one is unnecessary touch should be avoided. So suppose manual therapy is SOS required, then you go for. If it is not required, then unnecessary touch. During examination also, better avoid. You work more on your, suppose the gait can be assessed instead of that, and you can ask them to do all functional activity, and you just shoot with your video cameras and with your phone videos, then you check it out that rather than keeping the hands. And specifically use your gloves properly, and every patient's completed that gloves has to be disposed. So that is very important. Get some cheaper gloves also because it is for examination. There is no other purpose. So use the gloves, and maximum you use once. Even you remove the gloves, there is a in between the two patients, you wash your hands with sanitizer. That is very important. And हो सकता है तो face में you can wear the mask, but when you are with the patient, definitely you should wear the mask. And the very important thing is keep your patient little away. You're sitting the inside your cabin, don't allow apart from patient not much people. That is very important. And second one is if it is a clumsy space, you keep your patient little away from you. That is very important. And if it is possible, you put a small polythene kind of what you can like polythene में sheets में आता है nowadays, like what you can like a kind of polythene sheets. You can put it in between you and patient. And sometimes what you can do means if you are little fearful, you want to take complete precaution, you can ask the patient to sit in the other room. There you can have a video and you can sit in video over here. You can talk to him and you can make him all the movements. You can assess, you can record in the video, and once a play button and you can see the functional assessment. So once you want to only palpation and when you want to do manual work, then you should touch the patient. But once you touch the patient, make sure that you are not going to touch any other associated parts. Suppose sometimes previously we will be little lethargic, we will just lie our entire part of the body on the patient or something like that, or sometimes some hand can be fixed up. So those things should be very alert. Initially 3 months it will be very tough, I understand, because you should be aware about it and alert about it. It is very tough. But once you get alert and aware now, after 3 months it becomes your usual practice, because that is good also in once, because future how the, because we are moving from a what you can sedentary era to infectious disease era. So every 2 years, I think every country is going to create some or other idiotic problems. So I think it is better to occupy that how we can manage with that. So I think our precaution is based on our will and wish, because it is purely your will and wish how much body you should expose to the patient. So I think these are all the quite important thing. And don't use your shoes inside the clinic. Don't use your shoes. And if you want, you can just have the, you can have a socks, and that socks has to be taken to be soap washed regularly. And don't use the shoes inside, and don't allow patients to bring any shoes or slippers or chappals inside. And they should not carry off their any carry bags and other things. Ask them to keep it, leave it out. And you should not allow them to take it inside, anything. And even their MRI, X-rays you want to see, ask them to take a photo and send it on the mobile. You watch it in the mobile, rather than taking the MRI and X-ray and touching it. Because sometimes what will happen means that MRI you are touching, patient may touch, patient ka relatives may touch, or some doctors must have touched. The doctor must have gone to the government hospitals or somewhere to the exposed to COVID. So we do not know what is happening. So better is you can see everything, use technology and use your mobile phone to take that. So with that, you can get it. You ask the patient. Appointment is a very crucial part in COVID, post-COVID, because you taking appointment itself, you inquire everything, and even they have any kind of MRI or X-ray, ask them to send it on the phone before they are coming. So you can say them, if you are send it across your sheet of file, their file and other things photo, I can read and ready for you. You can say that. So what will happen once the patient comes, you are ready with your idea. Only physical examination is remaining. So your time of contact with the patient is also very less. You can finish it off and send it across. And you want to do a counseling, do it in the phone.
So, what we have to use to sanitize our electronic modalities? What kind of solution we have to use? That must be a simple sanitizer, whatever we are using it, or it must be something different.
Ma'am, what I feel means any electrode should be sanitized properly with kind of sterlium or 70% alcohol. It should be there, number one. And it has to be dried up, number two. It should not be with the same alcohol is there, and the heat modality should not be started, right? So 70% or 60 to 70% alcohol, it should be sanitized, number one. If not possible, no problem. Simple soap solution is more than enough, because very clear that the outside ring of coronavirus, which is going to clinch into the body or segments, which is made out of fat soluble proteins. So the fat soluble proteins can be decay or broken by soap solution. Very simple. So you can use a soap solution also.
Sometimes kinds of probes, ultrasound probes and laser probes and everything.
I
We have
think
to
you
use it with
get a
the,
point of disinfectant and clean with your this thing with the gloves, and have a small cotton and just wipe it and just do it out. And disposal of waste is very important. Dispose based on the your government, how they are giving a guidelines. So biohazards and how they are. Otherwise, if you are not having a capacity to what you can call it as how to take out the waste, you find out from your corporation how they are planning. So it is based on their each corporation.
we have to give some PPE kits also to the staff and everything, or without
Staff,
PPE kit.
definitely. You should give gloves, you should give a mask, and you should give a sanitizers. Everything you should give, because otherwise staff, how they will expose their body.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, what type of chest exercises we can practice on kids?
Yeah,
What type of chest exercises we can practice on kids?
I think kids, you don't want any exercise. They have a beautiful natural immunity. Ask them to jump a lot, jump a lot, jump a lot. Jumping is the best way.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is there any difference in chest physiotherapy for general patient and patient who recovers from COVID?
Yes, definitely, sir. Who recovered from general patient, you can take him as a patient of pneumonia or ARDS. It is a stiff lung category. It is not going to produce more sputum, so you cannot consider as a patient of bronchitis or asthma. It is more or less like a ARDS or stiff lung or pneumonia patient, like kind of. Patient is definitely going to have a dry cough, and the patient may have a sneeze, and the patient may have a fever and a low-grade fever. Sometimes the patient will have a lack of energy, low energy levels. So you have to design the energy in such a way. You have to design the workout for them post-COVID, like a law of conservation of energy. So how much energy can be used properly? So you should use it like that. You cannot give them more lose of energy. If you lose more energy, automatically their immune system will go down. So again, there is a second chance of episode. So better is do exercise minimum with the maximum efficiency.
Okay, thanks a lot.
So any other doubts?
So thank you, Annamalai sir. We can now take more Q&A at the end. And I would request Dr. Suraj to kindly be here so that we can start with Dr. Suraj's presentation. Dr. Suraj, can you hear me? Dr. Suraj, you are good to go. Your presentation is visible on the screen. I request you to unmute yourself. I request other people to unmute themselves. Okay. Can we have Dr. Suraj here? Dr. Suraj, can you please hear me? Dr. Jitendra, can you please state Dr. Suraj on your audio setting?
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
I'll give you my headphone to Dr. Suraj.
Yes, Dr. Sumant, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can.
Yeah, it is. It's just like what's going on, we don't know actually. I am really sorry for all this trouble actually from my side or whatever it is.
No, sir, not at all. It's a pleasure you could, you've taken out time from your busy schedule. So, sir, please start.
Yes. So basically what we have discussed earlier, so I am going to discuss about how we go for clinical practice in coronavirus disease era. In this, I am going to cover some part about the coronavirus, its clinical and radiological presentations, as well as management, and what precautions we are taking at present in our routine practice and while seeing the patients also. And as we know, this is going to be go for months to practice in this along with coronavirus. So some precautions we always have to take along. So now I'm proceeding. Basically, coronavirus is severe acute respiratory infection, which is caused by a group of coronavirus group, which is named as COVID-19. At present, we know almost 213. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please.
Yes. So as we see, almost 213 countries are in this pandemic at present, and confirmed cases are more than 4 lakhs with deaths of around. The confirmed cases are more than 47 lakhs with deaths of around 3 lakhs. And the good thing is recovery rate, which is almost around 20 to 30%. And recovered in India, we have presently 90,000 cases. Almost 34,000 have recovered with death of 2,872 people. So how this virus get transmitted? Generally, whenever an infected person gets cough or sneeze, he releases virus in the form of droplets or aerosols. This airborne droplets and aerosols leads to deposited at various places, and when we are in close proximity with these individuals, we directly get infected with this. Or when these droplets get deposited on some places like chairs, tables, beds, and we touch them, then they get contaminated to our hands, and we get our eyes and nose and mouth touch with this, which leads to us infected with this virus. So approximately it is seen that the incubation period is around 2 to 14 days of this virus. So human transmission can occur via respiratory droplets approximately 2 to 10 days prior to the individual becomes symptomatic. This is what becomes symptomatic. Even we don't know whether when we are meeting to someone he is infected or not. So before coming to symptoms, the patient becomes symptomatic. So what said this virus can be viable on hard surface for more than for approximately 24 hours and on soft surface for almost 8 hours, and in air, that is aerosols, for 3 hours. But it depends on the size of the droplets and the size of the aerosols, actually, the viability of the virus in various surfaces. As I said, incubation period is 2 to 14 days, and the RO time of the virus is almost 2, means almost 1% can infect 2 to 3%. So this cycles goes on continue. The most important thing what we are seeing with this virus is its long incubation period, which is creating so much trouble and which leads to give burden on the society and the healthcare system, that we have to quarantine a person for at least 14 days. So the incubation period, it is one of the most dangerous thing this virus has. So when to suspect a case? Any symptomatic individual who has international travel history, but this is no matter nowadays as we are in lockdown almost more than 15 days. All symptomatic contacts of a confirmed cases, all symptomatic healthcare workers, all hospitalized patient with severe acute respiratory illness, or asymptomatic and high risk contacts, direct high risk contacts of confirmed cases, like their house members, healthcare staffs, all those things which have not taken proper precaution during handling such patients. I will go for major sign and symptoms. What we are seeing in our OPD is the fever is the most predominant symptoms. It is almost present in each and every patient we are seeing in our OPD, but worldwide it is almost around 89%. Dry cough is the predominant symptom of almost 59%, and shortness of breath. So the difference between the major symptoms which separate this virus from other respiratory illness virus is that this virus predominantly involves lower respiratory tract, not upper. So the major symptoms like fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath. Other symptoms you can also see like loss of smell, stuffy nose, sore throat, mucus phlegm, chest pain, as well as GI symptoms, nervous system, and musculoskeletal involvement, body ache and chills. So patient sign and symptoms of COVID-19 varies from 80% has a mild infection, 15% has a severe disease like dyspnea, hypoxia, lung change on imaging, 5% has critically ill that manifested with respiratory failure, shock, and multi-organ dysfunction. Hello. Yeah, Dr. Suman.
Sir, we can hear you.
Okay, okay, very nice.
Please go ahead,
So
sir.
we have gone through the mild infection, moderate infection. So I just want to let you know that approximately 90% of patients generally complain with one or two symptoms. Major one is fever or other symptoms. 15% present with dyspnea, cough, and fever. It appears that the fewer patients have prominent upper respiratory tract or GI symptoms compared with SARS, MERS, or influenza, as we have seen previously. The clinical characteristics in pregnant women almost similar to non-pregnant. So whenever a pregnant lady comes to us, we screen her like normal OPD patients. We ask the same history, no significant difference is seen in such patients. And generally the second generation infection results in milder infection. The one who get infected laterally has mild infection. So what investigations we do, we generally go for to rule out other etiologies also, like blood and sputum culture in fever patients, real-time PCR assay in all patients with suspected infections. Real-time PCR is a polymerase chain reaction which see various antigens or genes of the virus like N gene and E gene. There are many techniques which we are going throughout the world. The best one which is using currently in various Western countries are multiplex RT-PCR. Now the upper respiratory tract specimen like nasopharyngeal aspirate or oropharyngeal swabs are taken. Initial testing is negative in patient who is strongly suspected of COVID-19. We collect a specimen from multiple respiratory sites. We usually do 2 to 3 tests to get the results. Whenever we suspect a high probability of having COVID, we have patients who has 2 negative coronavirus sample, then the third one came positive. So we have seen such patients. The most important thing is the time of the collection of the sample in RT-PCR. It is seen that in 70% cases, in first 7 days, it is 70% positivity. Then at the end of the first week, it is 50%, and later on it goes decreasing. The other one is rapid antibody test. The rapid antibody test detects virus antibody in the blood. So those who are already infected with the virus have antibodies in their blood. IgM and IgG are the 2 antibodies. IgM usually we have seen after 4 to 5 days to first to week to 10 days of the infection, and then followed by IgG, whose titer goes on increasing till 21 days. So this is the rapid test, and we have seen many controversies regarding the kit. Generally, RT-PCR has a sensitivity of 70%, means we can miss 30% cases along with RT-PCR, but by combining rapid antibody tests and RT-PCR, it has 100% sensitivity. That's why more and more rapid testing are trying to go and go and go. Now, order the following. The other investigations include pulse oximetry. The most important thing we have seen in patient, this patient has happy hypoxia. What is happy hypoxia? When the patient come to us, he's quite comfortable. He just say, sir, I just have a breathlessness when I climb 1 stair up or 12 stairs up or 1 flight up. Otherwise, he is quite comfortable, no significant distress. He will complain to you. But when you go on checking his pulse oximetry saturation, it will come below 90%. And when we ask to walk him for 4 steps or 5 steps, it suddenly go down. So this is happy hypoxia, which is significant feature we are seeing in this coronavirus infection. ABG, definitely those patients in which we suspect coronavirus and who have a saturation around 90%, we always go for a ABG, because it is the most sensitive tool to predict to catch up hypoxemia in blood. And we have seen many patients who have blood saturation pulse oximetry reading of more than 94%, but they have PO2 of only 60% without any other comorbidity or other reason for the same. Now, when this patient have gone for CBC, what we see generally their counts, WBC counts are normal. Most significant thing apart from other viruses is this coronavirus doesn't have thrombocytopenia. And the most important finding, which all literature has shown, is lymphopenia. We have significantly seen that this patient has significant amount of lymphopenia. Other markers like CRP, inflammatory markers, as Anna Malai sir has told the pathophysiology of the disease in earlier to you. So inflammatory markers play a predominant role. So if you go for CRP, LDH level, ferritin level, this CRP, LDH level, ferritin level, and D dimer level are usually very, very high in very severe or critically ill patients. And the higher their value, the more the worse the prognosis of the patient. Serum PCT and troponin are also used to do for in this investigation protocol. So these are inflammatory markers. So just I want to tell you, whenever you suspect a patient or whenever a patient come to you, and if he have reports of his own, if he is having high CRP level, high LDH level, high D dimer or ferritin level, so the overall prognosis of this patient is not good. You have to arrange emergency care, and you have to be a backup emergency care in such patients. So medical imaging, chest X-ray, what usually we see, normal chest X-ray is usually in viral pneumonias we see do often. Ground glass opacity is a peculiar feature we are seeing in COVID patients. CT scan also show ground glass opacity along with consolidation, crazy framing pattern. The other non-invasive technique which can be used to diagnose, but nobody is practicing in fear of getting the virus or to touch, no one wants to touch the patient, is ultrasound. Pleural thickening, increased B lines, and consolidation with air bronchogram. Its sensitivity is also good. It can if X-ray sensitivity is around 50%, then ultrasound sensitivity is approximately 70 to 75%, which can predict the consolidation earlier. So what X-ray, as Jiten has today practice, very difficult from one or two X-ray to learn, but I will try my level best. Generally in COVID patient, we are seeing subpleural, peripheral, patchy opposites, predominantly in lower zone, usually bilateral, but it can be unilateral. So I am repeating myself, subpleural, peripheral, patchy opacities, predominantly in lower zone, usually bilateral, it could be unilateral. So by as arrows we are seeing, I can on right side lower zone area, we have one patch of air bronchogram or patchy opacity, left lower zone, as well as at the junction of left upper zone and left mid zone. This is X-ray. This is X-ray of one of our patients, 72-year-old lady who had cough. So his please go ahead of X-ray, Dr. Suman. So these two X-rays are of a lady, one year apart from each other. The first one is absolutely normal. The second one we have seen that her left Am I
हाँ
audible?
काजल चलाना रेडी है सोना महादेव पल्ली गया
So,
Please
this
continue.
first
You are
X-ray of
unmuted.
X-ray, as we have discussed earlier, it shows left lower zone ground glass opacity. On the USG finding, USG image, we show lung consolidation and D line.
म्यूट कर ले
म्यूट हो
एवरीवन प्लीज सभी लोग अपने आप को म्यूट कर ले participants please mute yourself
Dr. Jitendra, please go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes.
Dr.
Okay,
Sumant.
Dr. Sumant, I'm. Yes. So, these two X-rays of a single person, we are seeing a 72-year-old woman who has cough and respiratory distress. The left, this first X-ray is of 1 year back, and this one is recent X-ray. We see the 1 year back X-ray is absolutely normal. The recent one, the left lower zone and mid zone have shown patchy peripheral shadows, and even in right mid zone we can see that. So this type of X-ray we are seeing routinely in our OPD day in day out in isolation as well as fever OPD both. Next slide, please. So these are images. The CT images of ground glass opacities, crazy paving pattern, consolidation with air bronchogram, USG, and chest X-ray. So now treatment approach. These are the way of diagnosis. So I just want to summarize. Suppose if anyone who is coming to us, he has complained of fever or dry cough or breathless or throat irritation or joint pain or body ache, he has a history of travel or no history of travel at all nowadays, with symptoms arouse within 5 to 7 days, and the fever is usually high grade, more than 101 degree Fahrenheit. We asked to go for evaluation. The first test we used to do is chest X-ray. If chest X-ray is showing peripheral, patchy, subpleural, lower zone predominant opacities, then we will suspect, we will ask to go for routine investigation like CBC, LDH, CRP, and ferritin. If these reports are normal and patient is mild to moderate symptomatic, then we will go for further evaluation, and treatment is as follows. At present, there is no specific drug or treatment are available for management of COVID right now. So the first and foremost is immediately isolate all suspected and confirmed cases in the area separate from other patients. Now the government guidelines has said that we have to go for SCQ. The dose we used to give is hydroxychloroquine 400 mg BD for first day, followed by 200 mg BD for next 4 days, along with combination of azithromycin. But the warning associated with this combination is prolongation of QTC, which leads to sudden heart attack or asystole and retinopathy. So above, generally we prescribe above medication only after when ECG is done and patient is there is significant role of Solumedrol in treating moderate, ill, or severe patients. So this only Spanish study is promoting corticosteroid. Otherwise, all other studies are not in favor of corticosteroids. But still, in moderate to severe, severely ill patients, we are using corticosteroids in our practice. Tocilizumab, which is a monoclonal antibody against interleukin 6, as Annamalai sir has said that the inflammatory cascade has activated with the virus get entered the cell. Interleukin 6 is the major interleukin which play a part in activation of this inflammatory storm, which is seen in some severe or very severe patients of having ARDS. So tocilizumab is given. It is a costly drug. It costs around 40,000. Generally, it is coming under trial in various centers, and its cost is driven by government at present. Vitamin C, some studies are in favor, but some are not. Remdesivir is still a drug which is not available in India, but in US they are saying that this is going to work. This is working a lot. Still, their final publication is going to come. Convalescent plasma therapy, the one very hot and very famous one. These trials are going throughout the India. Many centers are under this. In this convalescent plasma therapy, the person who had coronavirus and has recovered from the disease, generally the young individual or the mild one, so they have a amount of antibody in them against the virus. Basically, idea of this therapy has come from Ebola. In Ebola, this therapy has shown a significant result. So they tried this. They tried this. So convalescent plasma therapy, antibodies of a cured patient, antibodies from a cured patient are extracted through the plasma and infused in the deceased person. Generally, this therapy is indicated only in patients who are very severely ill and on ventilatory support. So usual prognosis of a COVID infected patient, generally COVID has a case fatality of 2.3%, but we have seen many places it is around 9 in Italy and approximately of 3% in India. The case fatality rate was highest among critical cases. Aged like more than 80 years have 15% mortality rate. Males are more suffering from than females. Patient with comorbidities like cardiovascular disease have higher mortality. Diabetes, chronic respiratory diseases, hypertension and cancer, they lead to increase in the rate of mortality of the patient. So what are the preventions? Whenever such type of pandemics occur, there are type of prevention, primary prevention, secondary prevention. So the primary prevention, the only way to prevent infection is to avoid exposure to the virus. We are seeing this. That's why lockdown has been done. So wash hands often with soap, water, or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, mouth with unwashed hands. Avoid close contact with symptomatic people. Almost 2-meter distance. It is wrongly mentioned. 2-meter. Practice respiratory hygiene like cough etiquettes. Cough, mouth, nose, and cover mouth and nose while coughing and sneezing. Discard tissue immediately in a closed bin and wash hands. Secondary prevention, early recognition of new cases. Immediately isolate all suspected and confirmed cases. Implement infection prevention and control procedure, including standard precaution at all times. Report all suspected and confirmed cases to your local health authorities. Infection prevention control, each and every hospital has its own policy as guided by government also. So implement all standard precaution all the time. Practice hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene. Offer a medical mask to patient. Wear personal protective equipments. I am on wear personal protective equipments and prevent needle and sharp injuries, and practice safe management, environmental cleaning, spray, patient care equipments and linen. So what practice changing concepts and what are new concepts which we have to learn during our practice? Now this comes for practice as we are going to open our clinics sooner or later. So the most key concepts are limit how germs can enter the facility. Second, isolate symptoms. So the first most is triage on phone. As Annamalai sir has told, the crucial first step in protecting doctors and other patients is triage on phone. Please forward the slide. Further. Further, please. Yes. So these are the some practice changing methods and some key concepts for them that limit how germs can enter the facility, isolate symptomatic patient as soon as possible, and protect healthcare workers. So triage on phone is the first one. Assess all possible COVID-19 infection and suspect. Whenever a patient calls to you, just ask him to whether he is having any fever, cough, or if any patients, it does not have any of them, call them to your clinic by appointment. Keep the reasonable time between each patient as per your discretion and avoid crowding at the clinic. If any patient seems to be COVID suspect, please refer him or to the nearby COVID testing center first. Avoid routine follow-ups, elective procedures. Usually routine follow-up, and you just try to give as much as possible advice on phone. If he will practice it on at home, it will be far better. Then you may guide the patient on phone for minor issues at your discretions. Now, how to triage at clinic and hospital? Triage station with adequately trained staff should be allotted to the entrance of each healthcare facility. Physical barriers like glass, plastic barriers should be installed at these stations, like at reception or at the entrance when where your guard is sitting. Just ask them to have gloves, mask, and face shield. On reception, you can have plastic barrier. And at these stations, to limit close contact between triage personnel or potentially infectious patient, and use PPE if preferred. Now, clinic management, restrict the OPD time to limited hours. This is most important. Avoid walk-in patients. Don't take walk-in patients as much as possible. Just ask them to have an appointment before coming. All patients only. Avoid relatives as much as possible. Ask them to come alone. If not possible, then only single relative will be permitted in the premises. Make the patient wait about 1 meter apart from each other. If possible, don't make patients sit anywhere in your clinic. If possible, then make the distance 1 meter apart from them. If patient need to be examined on board or table, clean it immediately following the examination. As sir said, there are some sheets coming out which you can change after each and every patient, and clean the surface immediately as you have examined the patient, like couch or chairs. You have to sanitize them regularly for even every 3 to 4 hours. All patients with respiratory symptoms made to wear mask in the waiting area and instructed on cough and sneeze hygiene. Doctor's clinic should be well ventilated and patients should be seated and stay 6 feet apart except during physical examination. The doctor should wear a mask and scrub hand with soap and water and use an alcohol-based disinfectant after each patient interaction. So this is the one. You have to wear mask and scrub your hands with soap or water, or use an alcohol-based disinfectant after each patient interaction, even after interaction with their files or something or any report. This Now keep these displays on your clinic, like visual alerts should be posted at the entrance and strategic areas to reinforce both patients and healthcare workers the importance of hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, and cough etiquettes. Hand hygiene. This is the one of the most important preventive measure which we all have to practice. All healthcare workers should perform hand hygiene using alcohol-based hand rub or by washing with soap water for minimum 40 seconds. If hands are visibly soiled, use soap and water for hand wash. Perform before and after using bathroom, before, during, and after preparing food, before and after eating, drinking water, drinking, after coughing, blowing, sneezing, after touching garbage, after touching mask or soiled PPE. Foot operated sanitizers should be put outside elevators, OPDs, screening areas, or ICU and wards. So what we are wearing, we are usually used to wear a N95 mask. There is a specific technique how to wear this mask. If this mask is not wear properly, then it is of no use and it will lead to a high risk of infection. So decontamination and waste management in clinic. Any surface or material known to be potentially contaminated by a biological agent must be correctly disinfected to control infectious risk. Proper processes for identification and segregation of contaminated material must be adopted. Where decontamination cannot be performed in the lab area or on-site, contaminated waste must be packaged in an approved manner for transfer to other facility with decontamination capacity. So what we have to use is, the major thing is environmental cleaning should be applied in all patients in healthcare facility. Cleaning agent and disinfectant use it. 1% sodium hypochlorite can be used as a disinfectant for cleaning and disinfection. The solution should be freshly prepared. There are various formula, 3.5%, 2%, and 5%, which has their dilution ratio as to get a concentration of 1%. Leaving the solution for a contact time of at least 10 minutes is recommended. Alcohol-based solution like isopropyl 70% can be used to wipe down surfaces where the use of bleach is not suitable, like metals. The frequency, high-touch surfaces, disinfection of high-touch surfaces like doorknobs, telephone, call bells, bed rails, stair rails, switches, wall areas should be done 3 to 4 per hour. Then low-touch surfaces like couch, low-touch surfaces like walls, mirror, mopping should be done at least once daily, and we will prefer to do it in the evening as well as the coming morning. For all medical profession, the basic is use only one pen, phone, and water bottle, mostly disposable water bottle. Decontaminate your phone before going home. Do not touch anything as much as possible. Everything is contaminated unless cleaned in your presence. No watches or rings, or no bangles, or no dangling earrings during clinic times. Hair tied, cover your head with cap. Shift to scrub full sleeves if available. Empty bowel and bladder before you wear your PPE. Once you wear your PPE, donning and doffing of PPE is very important. Once it will take almost 15 to 20 minutes to don the PPE and doffing the PPE. So be prepared. If you are going to work in an ICU facility where you have suspected COVID patients, or you are working with COVID patients, you have to be in PPE, which is must. And donning and doffing technique is very important. Otherwise, you can get infected by yourself during this procedure. So wear double gloves during PPE wearing. Keep your palms together when you see patients to remind you not to touch them. Don't use stethoscopes as they are not normal times. Wear goggles. Wear mask with patient contact in busy area. Wear footwear which covers foot fully, plastic or rubber disinfectants. So while going back home, ring up at your home that you are coming. Someone should already make your door open. Keep things in box outside the door. Wash your hands in the bucket. Meanwhile, use tissue or sanitizer to wipe other items. Directly go to washroom and ask them to prepare a bucket with detergent soap, so can you directly put your clothes in them. Then take a head bath with a shampoo and body bath with soap. Wash your clothes, put in washing machine with high temperature settings, and dry clothes in direct sunlight. Thank you so much. If any questions, most welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suraj. It has been quite elaborative and really insightful presentation. I'm sure our physiotherapist friends have learned a great deal about how to take care and how to really respond when it comes to taking care of COVID-19. I really thanks deeply towards your efforts. Now I request if participants have any questions, they can raise their hand. And those questions. Anyone who is keen to seek, we are also running short of time. I would request if anyone has any query, any questions which they want to put to our resource people, please feel free to shoot your questions. So I think Dr. Suraj, you were referring to Dr. Annamalai in between. I would request Annamalai sir to kindly address. Can we have Annamalai sir? So we have Pinky ma'am. I'm just making you unmute. Can you?
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Hello.
Have to take any
नहीं वो वहीं से उनके उधर से दे रही
Yeah, hello.
Dr. Pinky, we could not hear you. Dr. Annamalai is live. Sir, please, you can share.
Yeah. So, sir, it was amazing. Really, has given a very meticulous information, which is exactly need of the day for the physio practitioners.
Thank you,
Because he
sir.
has given, yeah, it's very specific. You are very targeted and specific. It is amazing. And exactly, I think you have just given a good idea about the non-living things. You segregated beautifully that telephone to water bottle. That was a really great, which is actually a knowledge which is required not by book. It is by an experience, basically.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that was a good one. And the second one is you have shown the pleural thickening of sonography. That is again
Yes.
an amazing picture. That is a good one. I love that. And apart from that, the B wave and all those things are not much used in India as such. I know that, but still it is very informative, boss. It is amazing, and definitely it is going to help us for our all entire physio fraternity and community for managing the post-COVID. It is an enlightenment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Suraj, someone has asked about
Yes.
doffing and doffing of PPE kit. Can you please
Yes.
put some light on that?
Yes, yes. There is a there is specific guidelines how to don and doff a PPE kit. Actually, there are n number of videos on YouTube, as well as there are sharing pamphlets and all those things in each and every hospital who is treating COVID. Actually, the major thing which we have to remember is that before donning, you have to get sanitized yourself before donning also. Okay, and whenever you don, you have to don two pair of gloves, double gloves. Usually what we have available in PP kit is a single pair, but you have to don two pair of gloves. One is sterile or non-sterile, whatever it is. And during doffing, you don't have to touch any part who is outside, facing outside your body. You have to try as much as possible to remove this part, like cap. So you have to remove cap from backward, which is the least exposed part of your cap. So you have to touch those parts which are least exposed to the patient. So avoid as much as contamination this way. And I just want to tell just wear two pair of gloves, two pair, which is must during donning and doffing. And for full technique, you can go through n number of videos. I have pictures also. If you want, I can share with you guys. Not an issue. Yeah, you guys can ask your question on group chat also. If you are not audible or your voice is not getting properly.
So if you have any questions, please feel free to type in chat box. We can directly take it to our resource person. They are also continuously monitoring these chat box. So please use the chat box for any query, any question, any doubt. I think everyone is enlightened, sir. So now I request Dr. Jagdish Jaiswal to kindly come forward. Okay, we have a question from Dr. Pinky. Is there any medication we have to take?
There are guidelines from ICMR. Actually, if you are not infected and you are a healthcare worker, so they said you can take hydroxychloroquine as a prophylaxis. But there are two school of thoughts behind that. ICMR is asking to take as a prophylaxis for healthcare workers, and it is a government organization, so it is their way of thinking. But many of us physicians don't think so, because there are no randomized controlled trial or any study which is saying hydroxychloroquine is helping in prophylaxis against coronavirus. There are studies on treatment against coronavirus, but there are no studies for helping in prophylaxis against coronavirus. So as per my personal opinion, I do not prefer to ask to go for hydroxychloroquine as a prophylaxis. And other precautions, as we have discussed already: hand hygiene, distance maintain, and suspect each and every patient as a COVID first. You have to suspect as a COVID. Then if you find that no, this is not COVID, then go ahead with your procedures and your techniques and your treatment with them.
So
And
I want to.
Yes, sir.
I want to add one more point with this.
Yes, sir.
For the precaution is concerned, it's not a prophylactic. We cannot call it as a preventive. It can be act as a preventive measure to immune system can be boosted up, because the combo of vitamin C and zinc can be taken regularly.
Yes.
Because vitamin C has been proven, the zinc is proven that exactly it is helping to prevent the retrovirus to create more number of patterns.
Yes.
That has been a recent study today morning I've read. And one more thing, vitamin C, ascorbic acid is actually helping to create a good immune system of WBC
Yes.
production and
Oxidation.
enhancement.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
this both can be taken as a preventive daily, morning and evening,
Yes.
or once or twice you can take.
Definitely. And the regular exercise, the most important
Yeah,
one,
that is,
regular
of course.
exercise and yoga.
Of course, of course.
Yes. Regular exercise and yoga are one of the most important immune boosters.
Yes, yes. Yes. That's very important.
Yes.
So there's one more question asked by someone with respect to police department's uniform. How to handle such situation where they reuse the information uniform with respect
Sir, this is like that. Okay, you have to get your 2 or 3 pair of uniforms actually, and you have to change them sequentially. If you wear day 1, then just follow the same. Whenever you go home, just put it directly in the disinfect or detergent powder and make it wash, and next day wear the other one. What we are doing same here in hospital also. We kept 3 surgical dresses along with us, and we use the one day 1. We throw it for wash, and then we wear it on the day 4 again. So I think this can be the only way you can prevent yourself from claws and all those things. May I write, Annamalai sir? Is it?
No, it's well said, sir. It is right actually, because we
Yes.
have to give 72 hours to decay the ring.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if we don't have a soap, so leave it for 72 hours. Automatically, the virus
72
ring
hours.
will get decay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Annamalai sir, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
What is your opinion with respect to functional tests?
Respect to functional test means
Like
you're asking
stand
about.
test or exercise capacity test, or in order to do the walk test or dynamic gait index. So like how do we incorporate these areas when it comes to taking care of the COVID cases?
See, basically all the functional test which is used in cardiorespiratory rehabilitation is relevant to the oxygen depth. So he has given a beautiful slide with happy SpO2.
Yes.
He has given that.
Yes.
With that, we have to pick up the point that the
Right.
happy SpO2 can be correlated with the functional test. So you
Right.
can take a 6-minute walk test, you can watch with the video, and you can find out that with that you can correlate with saturation. I think that is one of the good idea.
Yeah. It is also seen, sir. Some OPDs are using to blow. They ask patient to blow for 10 seconds or to hold breath for 10
hold
seconds
breath for 10
actually.
seconds. Yeah.
So they can't tolerate for 10 seconds. The one who is infected or having deranged functional capacity, they can't hold it actually. So we are also asking for the same too, but
No,
in
that is
order
good,
to
sir.
avoid aerosol exposure responsibility.
No,
Yes, sir.
basically when you hold the breath for 10 seconds,
Yes.
the V by Q mismatch happens. If it is there, then immediately you can find out. So that is the ultimate aim of it.
Yes.
It's a good idea to incorporate functionally.
Right. Sir, any insights with respect to both? This question is addressed to Dr. Suraj and Dr. Annamalai, both, especially for the physical therapists who are directly dealing with the COVID cases, how they can really ensure that they are able to do some kind of research when it comes to how do they really go about data collection, and then bringing the elements, whether quality of life or whether functional test or functional capacity, how we can really incorporate the same in order to prepare some database which can actually help understanding the disease with respect to prevalence in Indian populace.
First of all, I would like to say most of the time in the pandemic areas, for example, if you take a Spain flu or if you take a H1N1 flu, most of the papers, if you go through during that crucial period is, except a laboratory based papers, other papers, most of them are functional papers or retrospective study. It's not basically on the live study, because basically the live wire cannot be exposed to more number and photographs and videos and as well as the functional methods which can be given something like here. Mostly you can go with the questionnaires only. The questionnaires can be even online. You can ask the patient to fill it up. So either retrospective study or through using technology questionnaires. These are all the best way to deal with the live wire.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So now I request Dr. Jagdish Jaiswal to kindly deliver a message from our respected president, sir. Because of some technical glitches, he couldn't connect. Over to Jagdish, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sumant.
Sir, your voice is low. Can you please little louder?
Yeah, please. Now, is it okay? Is it audible?
Yeah.
Thank you. On behalf of Dr. Sanjeev Jha, sir, I would like to tell all the persons that this is the webinar which is based on present scenario, and Dr. Annamalai sir, Dr. Suraj sir has put their views, and they have given so many important things in front of us, how we can deal with the this pandemic disease, and what kind of precaution we can take during such situation. And important thing is that as a professional, as a healthcare professionals, how we can enter in the clinic areas, in the hospital areas. And most important thing ki, as Dr. Annamalai sir said that this is not the thing which can be goes off in a very easy manner. We have to take care in the house also. When we enter in the house, we have to sanitize ourselves. So many things he mentioned. Respected Dr. Suraj Verma sir, he has mentioned so many medication things some related to medical part. I am thankful to both of you, sir. And I also thanks to all the participants. Unfortunately, due to some technical problem, it's a new thing for us. So I hope everyone has to understand the things which cannot be in our hand. Dr. Jahaz sir has said that this is the message to all the individuals, all the participants, to be safe at their home, and be prepared for the future to do their work along with the precautions. So Dr. Sumant sir, now I would like to over to you to
Thank
please
you.
conclude, to ask to Dr. Ashish Jaiswal to conclude or say a few words as a vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I
Thank you
request
so
Dr.
much. Thank you so
Ashish
much,
to
everyone.
kindly give vote of thanks.
Dr. Sumant,
yes,
can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Suraj,
I would like to thank you all, your organization, to giving me such opportunity to have an interaction with you all. It is really a pleasure for me to be the part of to be one of the part of this event. And my special thanks to Jitendra, my younger brother. Actually, he's the one who asked me to go for this, and this is really wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sir, I just allow me to share. I think it's your generosity, and I always appreciate how Indore is setting a great example that we have such a wonderful understanding between the fraternity, and we always look forward to such great support, and we are
Definitely.
highly thankful for your efforts. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you. Welcome.
Over to Dr. Ashish. Can we have Dr. Ashish for vote of thanks, please?
Dr. Ashish,
Dr. Ashish, you are unmute. You can please share.
Sir, is it I am audible?
Yeah.
I am
You're louder. We can't hear you.
1 minute.
Little louder, please.
Little louder, although it is audible, but
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good evening to all my physio friends. I would like to thank respected discussant Dr. Sanjeev Jha sir, Dr. Annamalai sir, Dr. Suraj Verma sir, who taken out their valuable time and enlightened us with the knowledge of role of physiotherapy during and after Corona pandemic. I hope this will help us to deal this crucial situation in the aspect of physiotherapy. I would like to extend my thanks to organizing committee, IAP MP, IAP UNCEL, IAP Women MP, Women MP, and all participants. I hope this type of webinar will continue in the future. Be safe, stay at home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think thank you so much to everyone. We would request to kindly reach out with your email ID. People who have attended would also receive a certificate for the webinar attendance. So kindly share if you have missed upon your email ID. So Dr. Jagdish, can we conclude?
Yeah, definitely. Along
Definitely,
with
sir.
that, I would like to thank our entire CEC, Madhya Pradesh CEC Central, who has given us who has given the opportunity to Madhya Pradesh, IAPWC and IAP MP. Especially a special thanks to our MP CEC and Joint Secretary Dr. Vivek Jain. He is the Central Zone Joint Secretary, and Dr. Reshma Khurana ma'am. Thank you so much to be with us and give the blessings. Thank you so much, Dr. Sakina ma'am, Central Head, Central Zonal Head, Women Cell. Thank you everyone to give such support. And respected Dr. Annamalai sir is one of the person who is master in academics. He is presently, as per my knowledge, the words are very few to tell for them, but really he is my ideal. A few years ago, I have attended their workshop in Jabalpur, aquatic on the aquatic therapy. First time I met with them, and really from that day, he is my ideal, and I learned so many things with him, and by his blessings, and definitely we all with him. And I would thank you to all to come and participate and join the same program. Definitely we in future we will do best program, and definitely we will have more numbers to participate. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks to everyone, entire team MP. It is a beautiful, this a beautiful show you have been created. It is an amazing one, and really thankful to everyone like Sumant, Jitu, and Vivek, and all the Jeshwal, and all those people who are really taken hard work to do this. And I missed our President, Honorable President Jasar. I thought he must be appearing. So today I don't have the luck to see him. Anyway, thanks for the wonderful time to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please stay safe, and we look forward for more such creative webinars for the upliftment of physiotherapy. My sincere request, maybe if we can all request all these students and also professional physiotherapists to take on the membership of IAP and show some great strength, so that we can really show that how physical therapists can really contribute towards the improvement of entire country's health. Yeah. So thank you very much. Please stay safe, and regards to your families. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.